You've done the work. You've gone to your therapist and sat on the couch. You've created a routine with yoga classes. You might have gone to a yoga retreat. You read the books. You might have even written one. And still things are not moving. Your trauma is not moving. You don't lack insight. You don't lack willpower or the discipline and the desire to try. It's all there. But there's a physiological different event that happens with insight and actually digesting and releasing trauma. And usually modalities focus on one or the other. If you're the woman that holds space for everyone else, the healer, the doctor, the teacher, the caretaker, mother, the wellness entrepreneur, striving, and you know it, you have the knowledge of embodied healing, but you can't quite seem to get it within your own system, the sense of peace. I've built this for you. I want to tell you a little about where I started from because it matters. When I first started to clear or try to address my trauma, I went that traditional route and I saw a psychiatrist, I saw a psychologist, and they did help me cope for a little while. They helped me come to that first step of meeting that trauma. And I think it's really important to share that. But I still found myself white knuckling my way through life. And I was carrying a massive amount of chronic childhood trauma, sexual trauma, and health trauma, relational trauma that was still making it very difficult to sustain any kind of relationship, even after years of talk therapy. And even after becoming a wellness entrepreneur, I still found myself in those loops of anxiety. And I still found myself with intrusive thoughts in the car or unable to get to bed at night, thinking and overthinking. And I found myself in this complete exhaustion of overdrive, as well as this depletion, just utter depletion. And some days I just couldn't get out of bed and I couldn't lift up out of these loops. Things began to change for me when I started to see more in-depth yoga therapist and a breathwork therapist at the same time. And I started to go deep into the physiology and combined that with insight. Now, I want to be clear, insight and your story really matter, but having the combination of it filtering through with physiological processes is key. I'm going to pause the video for one moment and just remind you, if this feels like already it's resonating, that you feel in your chest and your whole body, yes, I need this. I need to understand my heart mind. There are a couple of different ways I work with people, and I always like to talk to people first before we choose the path. So you might be wondering, is it a membership? Is it a one-to-one type of therapy? There's a couple of different paths that I take people on based on different factors. And it's so unique, each person, that I need to have that call first to figure out together what's the next step. So book that call now if you're feeling those yeses in your body, if you know this is the kind of work that you're ready to do and ready to invest in for your mind and your body and your heart. If you've been white knuckling it through your mental health and trying to get through life with your mental health just by pushing through, this is for you. There's no pressure. It's a conversation, free conversation about how this method can support you. If you're not sure yet, keep watching. I'm going to go deeper into the method now. The old way would be that you stay in the frontal cortex, you stay a little bit more in your thoughts, and you start to filter or try to process those thoughts. And then there was another way with somatics that's old where you wouldn't go to the thoughts at all and you would just stay with the body. And what I'm talking about with this is starting to combine them and starting to bring the brainstem in more coherence with the frontal cortex, as well as this nervous system is completely regulated and in creating coherence with the heart. And this is my huge message, my huge belief, maybe the center message that I have for you is that your mind is at the center in the heart, not in your brain, not in even in your thoughts. It does include them and that can shape them. Thoughts are very powerful, as we know. And so starting to bring them down and bring them into your body, but also bring your heart up into the thoughts and into the coherence with your nervous system and brain. So, what Western science has been calling unprocessed trauma and that somatic experience and how things get stuck in your body, Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine and yoga have been talking about for centuries. Ayurveda calls it ama, undigested material that could be physical and mental. And the Chinese medicine have been talking about how this gets stuck in the organs and in the body that connects to the organs, the meridians. And yoga has been talking about the resistance in the body for a very long time and how to move that through the mind. I'm not talking about metaphors here, although I do love a metaphor and I think they're very powerful, but I really am talking about physiological science. The heart mind embodiment method is bringing all of these sciences together, Western science alongside the Ayurveda, the traditional Chinese medicine, and yoga. And we walk through the chakra system. The chakras deeply embedded in the endocrine system. So if chakra is a word that kind of you start to wonder, just we walk through the endocrine system, okay? And within those systems, we start to create 4 pillars. We start to hold ourselves accountable to those pillars of creating boundary, of creating emotional intelligence and understanding our emotions within that particular place. And then we start to forgive, and this will start to clear. It is the elixir of our energy and mind. And lastly, we start to acknowledge, we start to raise into the light what needs to be raised into the light and looked at for you, the gold of each step. Through these pillars, we start to digest the trauma. It's there. It always comes out. It's always there. And we start to digest it. And with very strong, short practices, I'm talking about 10, 15-minute morning and then 10 or 15-minute evening practices that will start to shift and create this process of digestion and release for your trauma, as well as create a new identity for yourself. And when I say new, it's really birthed from within you. So it is, maybe we could call it your truest identity. The traditional approach asks you to manage those symptoms and carry on, find yourself. It's kind of an outward gesture, right? Go find yourself. This method is teaching you the power of your own physiological system to digest and clear experiences, and then from within, how to create yourself. This is healing, but through transformation. I want to name 2 things that this program gives you. One is your body becomes your home, your most vital asset, not something that you're fighting against, not something that you're trying to manage, but something that is a huge and maybe the most vital resource for your experience. It becomes your best friend and it becomes something that feels like home. The second is that this is a method that you can continue to come back to. This is not a one-time intervention. And it is also not something that is going to expire. This is something that you're going to learn and continue to use. And it's going to last for a very, very long time, for as long as you need it, for as long, in my opinion, as long as I have a body and a mind that needs to digest experiences. That is you. And you're looking and needing to start to clear that trauma finally in a very embodied as well as holistic, meaning coming back to a way to access wholeness. This is for you.
I'm going to end this here saying I know there's women watching this that have been told they're too much or that they need to get over it, or even when they meet that place within them that has the unprocessed trauma, it feels like overwhelm, like there is a drowning. And I promise you, there is this method and path to coming into that wholeness. So book that call to get started, however small, however big, in this process to start reshaping it and really feeling good in your body and in your daily life. Travel well. This is the work. I'm so glad that you're doing it and I'm doing it. And I hope to see you soon. Enjoy your prana.